This war stops now.
You are tired of the war. I can see on your face.
End the war. Bring freedom to our people.
Welcome to the Stop and Listen podcast. I am your host, Jamie.
Howdy, folks.
I am tweaked right now. It is Sunday. It is in the negatives here in the outskirts of St. Louis. I've opened the door. I have not been outside today. I have been zoned in on making I'm going to make a new intro, a new theme. So it's like a video along with a song. It's going to be very similar. It's going to be different than what there is now. And I'm just getting locked in here, and I'm like, it's been several hours. And I was like, well, okay, I need to do something productive.
Go on then, do your work.
So here I am to talk about the news. Not necessarily the new news. I've been a little out of it the last couple days. There is something I've been avoiding for a while now. And I actually, one or two podcasts ago, I was going to cover it, and I just forgot. Candidate Vivek Ramaswamy had apparently a pretty powerful answer to a stupid question. And we'll listen to this here in a second, but there's been so much speculation about Vivek being vice president for Trump. It seemed odd, but it also seemed as if he was campaigning for it. And then Trump came after him over the weekend, I think on Truth Social. I haven't dug too deep into it, but that's that. Of course, Trump is... Ben Shapiro has said, I'm not going to do this justice, but Trump's a hammer, and sometimes he hits nails, and sometimes he hits babies, I think is the way Ben Shapiro put it. Yeah, he just... Why would he not want Vivek as a friend? Like, it's imploding. It's all imploding, and that's exactly what they had intended. And yes, I've got the mug. I try not to bring that up very often, but yes, I have it. So let's listen to Vivek answer a stupid question.
Say that you condemn white supremacy.
I'm not going to recite some catechism for you. I'm against vicious racial discrimination in this country. So I'm not pledging allegiance to your new religion of modern wokeism, which actually fits the test. I'm not going to bend the knee to your religion. I'm sorry. I'm not asking you to bend the knee to mine, and I'm not going to bend the knee to yours. But do I condemn vicious racial discrimination? Yes, I do. Am I going to play your silly game of gotcha? No, I'm not. And frankly, this is why people have lost trust. And I know you're going to go print the headline tomorrow. I already know this. We already know how your game works. Vivek Ramaswamy refuses to condemn white supremacy because you asked a stupid question. The reality is, I condemn vicious racial discrimination in this country, but the kind of vicious and systematic racial discrimination we see today is discrimination on the basis of race in a very different direction. You want to know what the best way is to end discrimination on the basis of race? Stop discriminating on the basis of race. Do that, and we're going to move this country forward. And I don't care whether you're black or white or brown or anything in between. That's how we're going to unite this country. You people have been responsible for dividing this country to a breaking point, creating a projection of national division. I meet people from the south side of Chicago to meetings like this one of every shade of melanin, multiple, from man to woman, doesn't make a difference, who are hungry for reviving unity in this country. And you, with your catechism that you try to get to politicians to whatever fake headline you're going to print on the basis of this conversation tomorrow, that's what's dividing this country to a breaking point. Shame on you. Look people in the eye and tell them what you've actually failed to tell them for the last 5 years. Own the accountability for your own failures as the media. That's how we rebuild trust in this country. And until then, I don't have a lot of patience to play the games.
What do you expect from
Yeah, pretty good. As much as I've been hearing about it, I was anticipating a little bit more spice, but I mean, yeah, by all means, for sure. Here's another one by Vivek.
Yep. And so at a certain point, the right answer is, I think we have to move forward. If we drive with our eyes in the rearview mirror, we're just going to keep crashing the same car and recreating the very thing we wanted it to eradicate. So that's what I believe. And that's why I'm against what you'll call, what does that refer to, reverse racism, like affirmative action, right? Quota systems, direct or indirect. I'm against them because I think they're inherently divisive. They're anti-meritocratic. I think they're anti-American at their core. And so you will never, it's kind of like, in a philosophical sense, like the answer to the first question. We're never going to defeat the people who disagree with us by censoring them, by using the tools of the opposition against them. So I say that in the category of speech. Well, we Republicans have been censored, and we have. Conservative speech has been censored, so we're going to come back and censor you. We're never going to win that way because you lose the very thing we're fighting for. So,
on one hand, I don't know why I'm so interested in Vivek, and also on the other hand, I guess I do. Because he's the only one saying anything, not only interesting, but he's the only one really saying anything. I mean, DeSantis, it wouldn't matter if he was striking to the heart of Americans. His campaign is going so horribly, it doesn't matter. And Nikki Haley, I mean, she's an empty suit. And Trump, the same bullshit over and over again. I don't understand why he attacked. I don't know why he attacked Vivek unless perhaps Trump knows something that we don't about him. I've been saying repeatedly, I'm not sure if he is who he says he is, and I hope he is. But him and RFK Jr. are the only ones saying anything real in this. I mean, look the condition. Look at everything that's happening around the world. And you've got an election and no one's saying anything powerful, but two guys who have almost no chance at doing anything. We deserve every bit of what we get. We've done this to ourselves, folks.
it's the same thing. Well, we experienced racism. Now we're going to get racism in reverse. We never win by using the toolkits of the other side. And you're on a higher pay grade than me as a pastor. I'm just running to be president, but you're operating on a different plane. But I think that it's something that you might think of as mercy. At a certain level, what is our path forward as a country? At some point is going to have to, at some point in time, I mean, there's a time for justice and there's a time for mercy. And those two things are in tension with one another, right? And I think at this moment we live in, I got a question yesterday. Somebody asked me a question. He said, what was the cause of the Civil War? And do you think that there's a civil war in this country right now?
I mean, what's going to happen someday when white people are the minority of this country? Like, at that point, do we get to stop reliving the past? Even though I believe most people, white people here, genetically have no connection to slave owners, or very, very little. So it's just eventually, is there a point where we can just let bygones be bygones? Or once white people are the minority, is that when the retribution happens?
And I think at this moment we live in, I got a question yesterday. Somebody asked me a question. He said, what was the cause of the Civil War? And do you think that there's a civil war in this country right now? I think we are skating on thin ice as a country right now. I think we are in the middle of a cold cultural civil war right now. I don't want to see it turn hot. But I think it's going to require a combination of both justice, accountability for those who have committed those wrongs, with a blindfold of justice, but also some level of saying we will move on as a country. And so that's what I believe. And so hopefully that addresses your question for how I think about it. Not denying past inequity, but by acknowledging that at a certain point we're going to do about as well as we could, and then we decide the best thing for all of us is to aspire to our ideals. And this is what makes America beautiful. Are we a perfect nation? No, we are not. We never have been, and we never will be. Because here's why. I can tell you why it will never be the case. There's two things that are true about us. We're human beings, we're not gods.
Exactly.
And we're still a nation that has ideals. See, it's interesting how nobody calls China hypocritical, or Iran, or Pakistan, or anywhere else. You don't hear the allegations of those nations being hypocritical. To be hypocritical, you had to have ideals in the first place. So as a nation that has ideals and a nation that's comprised of human beings, we will always fall short of those ideals. But we're founded on the pursuit of a more perfect union. The pursuit of liberty, equality, and justice for all. That is what makes America great. That is what makes America itself.
Vivek is obviously a very intelligent man. I don't know if he's a bullshitter as well, but no other candidates have the ability to speak like that. But aside from Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and doing so is quite laboring. So I got this in the mail from Ann Wagner, my representative. I didn't know she was my representative. Apparently she is. And I know last year she went to, I think, the World Economic Forum, Davos. So she voted to secure the border. Looks like Representative Wagner introduced the Child Online Safety Modernization Act. And so she introduced it, so I'm guessing it didn't pass. She voted for legislation to support Israel. And she passed the Debbie Smith Act. Oh, call my DC office or visit my website at wagner.house.gov to purchase a flag that has been flown over the U.S. Capitol. Well, hot dog, that sounds like a fantastic way to participate in our democracy. Thank you, Ann Wagner. I mean, this is from, 10 days ago now.
Triumph over evil. Now come, we must hurry.
Bernie Sanders says, when half of older Americans have no retirement savings, we don't need to cut Social Security. Legislation I introduced last year would make Social Security solvent for 75 years, expand benefits by $2,400 a year, and not raise taxes on anyone making less than $250,000 a year.
It's a crock of shit.
It seems like means-based Social Security is a big no-no. And I don't really understand why. It's like, I mean, I've had people, well, I earned it. Well, yeah. Yep. You did. But it's about long-term stability. You did the right things. And because we're a controlling, loving country, we are going to help people. And, we should. I mean, Bill Gates does not need to collect Social Security. So I don't know what the ideal pot of money sitting there when you're ready for retirement is, and not have any of the Social Security benefits. And of course, insurance and healthcare costs are very expensive for that stage of your life, and that has to be, in consideration. I mean, which you obviously could still give. Medicare was in existence under a new program, but I mean, if you have $5 million in the bank, maybe you don't need Social Security, something like that. A high number. I mean, maybe it could come down a little bit, but not a lot of people overall retire with $5 million in the bank. So, making that a line, that seems like a reasonable line. No one I follow made any comments to Bernie. Oh, there was Jack Posobiec. He retweeted someone who sent out a tweet about Rand Paul announces Never Nikki initiative. Rand Paul's quite anti-war and has discussed repeatedly. Nikki Haley likes the war. Fan of it, loves it. Now that's fueling speculation that he's going to be Trump's vice president, which shouldn't surprise anyone because Mike Pence made no sense either. Kristi Noem is his pick, and if he doesn't pick Kristi Noem, he may actually be a sexist, and not that I think she should be president. Can't get any worse than what we got now. So he has to pick Noem. I don't know, so there's this little talk with Paul, And then he attacks Vivek for some reason. And now there's new talk of Michelle Obama entering the race. And that in a month or two, Biden's going to step down for health concerns. And then Michelle Obama fearing for our country's safety and so forth because of Trump and his hair. She's going to run and save the day. Awesome. So that means we will have a collective, what is it, 20 years of Obama rule? Oh, yeah, we'll survive that. Don't think that's going to happen. So here's what I'll finish it up with. Adam Kinzinger, Adam Kinzinger? He was a pretty far left-wing Republican who was super anti-Trump, got voted out. He has a little American flag, a little Ukrainian flag, and a little Israeli flag on his profile. Beautiful. And I think he works on MSNBC or CNN or something now. Jesus was trying to be a model for the real savior, the weak Donald Trump. Yeah, Jesus was, I don't understand. This dude's, Jesus was trying to be a model for the real savior, the weak Donald. That doesn't mean anything. That's, so y'all struggling in the world or doing shit you don't want to do. Here's this fella who was a representative and then he just lost there and slid on into a cushy job with one of the left-wing networks, and there you go. And he can't write a sentence. Let's see if sentence number 2, he does any better. Pastors, and I know some will see this, you have to address this problem from your pulpit.
Jesus died for me, and so being indicted for you. My first thought went to, well, Jesus Christ died for my sins. Jesus died for me. And so it connects in my brain that way, like, okay, he's doing this for us as a country to make the changes we need to make, and he's the target where we don't have to be.
See, and that's
being indicted for you.
That's very interesting because I have not gotten deep into it, but so Scott Adams, the guy canceled, I think more than once, who was behind the Dilbert cartoon. He has a little podcast, says things that are controversial if you take them out of context time to time. Apparently he was like one of the first ones to really predict that Trump would win the 2016 election. And because he has somewhat of a knowledge on hypnosis, he says that the way that Trump speaks is that of a hypnotist. And the pastor that Trump had growing up, his name was Norman Vincent Peale, and the power of positive thinking. And it was kind of in that same mindset. I have not gotten into anything from Norman Vincent Peale. I do intend to listen to one of his audiobooks. But that actually makes sense. That's very strong. And that makes a lot of sense. That's scary. And in his own way, is actually not 100% untrue. If you look at after 9/11, we had all the little yellow magnets supporting the troops on our vehicles. That lasted for about 6 months. And suddenly George Bush was a all shucks, good old boy leader getting us through hard times, being Hitler. That happened pretty quickly, and I think that was our Americanism was getting a little out of hand. We got the hit with patriotism, and that had to be knocked down. If I went to church and a pastor said, "Look how you are viewing these politicians; they're not your saviors," I wouldn't be upset at all. I would agree with them. I don't think that pastors say enough, and they leave a blind flock. They have them for about an hour and 15 minutes every week, and they unleash them to the wolves. So, yeah. Adam Kinzinger. Probably going to get that one, but luckily enough, he's irrelevant. And will only be made more so over time.
Check, please.
So that's all I got. Thank you for watching. Stay warm, folks. Please like, subscribe, follow, do all the things. I'll see you next time. Thank you.
I hate to see you go. I love to watch you leave.